Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel By the Book. By the Book is an e-learning platform where we provide different courses on UPSC, APSC, state PCS, banking and other competitive examinations. I am Panchanan Dattabora and I am here to help you out with the syllabus for Indian polity. In the previous video, we have learned about the features and the importance of the Regulating Act of 1773. In today's lesson, we are going to discuss the next important act which was passed by the British government during the rule of East India Company in India. Okay, so the next important act which was passed was Pitt's India Act and it was passed in 1784. Let's discuss. Firstly, we are going to discuss about the person who was responsible behind the passing of the Act of 1784, which was the Pitt's India Act. So we can see that the main concerned person here is William Pitt, who was then the Prime Minister of Britain. See, William Pitt became the Prime Minister of Great Britain in 1783. Okay, in fact, he was the youngest Prime Minister of Britain at that point of time. Okay, and just after 1 year of becoming Prime Minister, that is in 1784, William Pitt introduced the Pitt's India Act in the British Parliament. Right, it was introduced because, see, when the Regulating Act of 1773 was passed, it was seen that there were many flaws in that act, okay, and there were many drawbacks to that act. So it was necessary for the British government to pass another act to rectify the drawbacks of the Regulating Act of 1773. Okay, as a result, the Pitt's India Act was passed in 1784. Okay. And as you can see, the name of this act was also kept after his name, after the name of William Pitt. So the act is Pitt's India Act after William Pitt, who was then the Prime Minister of Britain, and he was the person to introduce this act in the British Parliament. Okay. Now, let us see the primary motive behind the Pitt's India Act, the primary motive of the British government behind passing the Pitt's India Act. Okay. See, we all know that the British government tried to regulate and supervise the affairs of East India Company by passing the Regulating Act of 1773, right? They tried to regulate the affairs, right? But as you can see that the actual control of the company still remained with the Court of Directors. You all remember the Court of Directors, right? From the last video. See, the actual control of East India Company still remained with the Court of Directors. So, as a result, by passing the Pitt's India Act of 1784, the British government tried to exert its influence over East India Company and its possessions in India. The possessions of East India Company in India, the British government tried to get a strong grip on it, right? By possessions here, we mean to say all the properties, territories and all the areas occupied by the East India Company in India, right? So what we can see here is that the primary motive behind passing the Pitt's India Act is that the British government tried to exert its influence over East India Company and its possessions in India. Okay, I hope all of you got it. Let's move on. Now, let's not waste time and quickly look into the main features of the Pitt's India Act of 1784. See, look at feature 1. See, this act distinguished between the commercial and the political functions of the company. Right. As we all know, earlier the commercial and political functions of East India Company were headed by the Court of Directors. Right. The Court of Directors was the management and it managed all the commercial and the political affairs of East India Company. Right. Now, after passing this act distinguished the commercial functions of the company. Let's look deep into this fact in feature number 2. See, look at feature number 2. See, it allowed the Court of Directors to manage the commercial affairs but created a new body called the Board of Control to manage the political affairs. Right. See, now you can see here. See, before the Pitt's India Act was passed, the Court of Directors was the management level for East India Company, right? And it managed all the commercial and political affairs of the company. Okay, see, let's look at the hierarchy here. Okay, see the East India Company officials, right? You can see in the bottommost part, the East India Company officials, along with the governors of Madras and Bombay, reported to whom? They reported to the Governor General of Bengal, right? And the Governor General of Bengal reported to the Court of Directors, right? And the Court of Directors managed, these Court of Directors managed all the commercial and political functions of the East India Company, right? Now, after the Pitt's India Act was passed, the Court of Directors, okay, the Court of Directors as earlier were allowed to manage the commercial affairs of East India Company, but this act created a new body. You can see here, it created a new body alongside Court of Directors. Okay, and this new body was created to look into the political affairs of East India Company. Okay, this body was called what? This body was called Board of Control. Okay, everyone got it? See, this act created a fully brand new body just to look solely into the political affairs of East India Company. So we can see here that the powers of the Court of Directors were reduced tremendously, right? And you can see, because this division was made between Court of Directors and Board of Control, there was this act established a system of dual government. How dual? Because Court of Directors maintained the commercial functions and Board of Control maintained the political functions, right? So there was a system of dual government. Actually, this act was the first act which created a system of dual government in India. This is very much important from exam point of view. So I hope everyone will mark this point. Okay. Now, let's just quickly get an insight regarding the Board of Control. Okay, we must now we will just look briefly what is Board of Control. Okay, see, first, it supervised all military, civil and overall political affairs of East India Company, as we have already discussed before, right? Secondly, it is a purely government body. That is, the Board of Control reported directly to the British government. Okay, nothing to explain here. Every one of you got it? Okay, now see, point number 3. Now we are looking at the composition of Board of Control. See, the Board of Control composed of a Secretary of State who also presided over this board. Okay, the Secretary of State presided over the Board of Control, right? So he is the president. Okay, Secretary of State, there is one Secretary of State plus 4 Privy Councillors. Now, these 4 Privy Councillors were nominated by the British King. Okay, see, in total, the Board of Control contained 6 members, 1 Secretary of State, 4 Privy Councillors and 1 Exchequer, right? Now, the Secretary of State is the president, like he presided over the Board of Control, okay? And the Secretary of State is always a cabinet minister in British government. The Secretary of State is always nominated from a cabinet minister in the British government. Okay. And the 4 Privy Councillors which are in the Board of Control, they are nominated by the British King. Okay. And lastly, there was 1 Exchequer. So this was the basic composition of the Board of Control. Okay. Let's move on. And let's just see now the other changes, the other significant changes which occurred after the Pitt's India Act was passed. Okay, look at the first point. The controlling rights of Court of Proprietors were removed. Now, I hope all of you remember the Court of Proprietors, right? They were the persons who elected the Court of Directors, right? So they had huge influence, whether you can say directly or indirectly, they had huge influence over the affairs of East India Company, right? But after the Pitt's India Act was passed, the controlling rights of Court of Proprietors were removed, and hence what happened? The Court of Proprietors lost their influence over the company affairs. So now whatever is the decision from the Court of Proprietors, they did not mean anything. Okay, they were completely useless. So the first point is the controlling rights of court of proprietors were removed. Okay. Now see, earlier in the previous video, we saw that the Governor General's Executive Council had 4 members, right? Now what happened? Because of these 4 members, the entire scenario became so difficult for the Governor General to implement a decision. Why? Because he had to gain a 3/5 majority for just passing an act, right? And every one of us, we have discussed before that the Executive Council members made it very difficult for the Governor General to pass a decision because he never got a clear majority to pass any decision, right? And what were the voting numbers back then? It was 1 vote for the Governor General and the rest 4 votes for the Executive Council members each, right? So there was total of 5 votes, but the Governor General never got a majority to pass any decision. Now, after this act was passed, what happened was that the number of the Governor General's Executive Council members were reduced to 3, right? As a result, all the Governor General had to do now is gain a single vote from the 3 Executive Council members. He had to now get only 1 vote out of the 3 members so that he can bring the decisions to a 2-2 tie. Okay, now all the Governor General has to do is bring 1 member's vote from out of the 3 members of the 3 Executive Council members to make the decision a tie. Now all of you must be wondering why the Governor General want to make it a tie, right? Why not win a clear majority? See the third point. Pitt's India Act gave veto power to the Governor General of Bengal. So the bills got easily passed. See, now what happened? In case of a tie, the ultimate decision power or the ultimate veto power was given to the Governor General of Bengal. So now can you get the clear picture? See, whenever there was a voting back then, all the Governor General had to do is he had to just gain 1 vote out of 3 of the Executive Council members, right? So 1 vote is his, right? His fixed vote, and if he gets 1 more vote out of the total 4 votes, it becomes a tie, right? So in case of a tie, the Pitt's India Act also gave him a veto power, so that in case of a tie, the Governor General's last vote is the ultimate vote. So obviously the Governor General will vote for his favor, so his bills got easily passed. So as you can see, the Pitt's India Act also made a provision so that the Governor General of Bengal can implement his decisions, or rather pass his decisions, in a very easy manner. Okay. Now coming to the last point. See, now we will discuss the significance of Pitt's India Act. Okay. See, the first significance was that the company's territories in India, all of the East India's company territories in India, were for the first time called British possessions in India. So whatever property, territories or areas which were captured, all the properties which were captured by East India Company were now called British possessions. That it directly implies that the British government has taken possession of those properties in India. Now the company no longer takes any credit for any possession in India. Now the British government directly holds responsible, or the British government directly claims these possessions as British property, right? So the company's territories in India were for the first time called the British possessions in India. Okay. Secondly, see, the British government was given the supreme control over the company's affairs and its administration in India. See, before the Pitt's India Act was passed, the British government only kept an eye on East India Company. It only made a provision so that it can regulate and control the affairs of East India Company, right? But after the Pitt's India Act was passed, the British government took supreme control over the company's affairs, right? And it also captured the administrative part of East India Company in India, right? So now the administration of East India Company will be directly controlled by the British government. Before what happened, before Pitt's India Act was passed, the East India Company administered all the political affairs in India, but it was only regulated by the British government. Now, what happened? The British government took over the administration in its own hands. Now, the company won't take any administrative decisions in India. It won't take any political decisions in India. The British government will directly take the decisions. And through where? Through which body it will take? It will take through the Board of Control. Right? So these 2 points are the significant points of Pitt's India Act. I hope it got cleared out for everybody, right? So with this, we have come to the end of today's video. Please stay tuned for the upcoming videos. If you have liked this video, please give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel. And please share our videos so that our channel grows and we reach a mass audience, so that our content is also beneficial for the rest of the aspirants. Okay, and if you have any queries, doubts or suggestions for us, please give us your feedback in the comment section down below. So here are our social media handles for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and our email ID is also given. Follow us to give us all your love and support. So until next time, take care. Goodbye.